Erika Sato's phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Notification after notification, hundreds of furious comments flooding her latest post. Then, among the chaos, an email subject line cut through. Sponsorship terminated, effective immediately. Her face drained of color. 12 hours earlier, less than a mile away, Kazuya Hara stood alone in front of his school locker, shoulders trembling.
This is too good. Crying at school. The views will be insane.
He didn't know he was being recorded. His eyes, rimmed red, held nothing but exhaustion and grief.
50,000 views minimum. Just watch.
Within hours, the clip exploded. 4 million views and climbing. But the comments, they were not laughing. Someone had linked his mother's obituary. A comment scrolled past. "You filmed a grieving kid. How could you?"
Wait, what? No one was supposed to find out?
Her ring light still blazed, but now it only made the tears cutting through her mascara more visible. The internet had chosen its side, but while Erika's followers tore her apart online, the boy she filmed still hadn't seen a single notification. 2 days earlier, Kazuya Hara had stood in the rain and watched the coffin of his only family lower into the earth. He had no siblings, no father. His mother had raised him alone, and now she was gone. The next morning, he dragged himself to school, hoping to disappear into the routine. No one approached him, but by his locker, alone for the first time all day, the weight crashed back down and the tears came.
A real breakdown. No acting required. This clip could double my followers.
She didn't know he'd just left a funeral. Even if she did, it wouldn't have stopped her. She added the caption, "POV, when you fail your exam, LOL," and posted it without a second thought. For a few hours, it seemed like just another prank. But then someone did the research. They found his name. They found the obituary. And the internet that had once laughed began to rage. In those first hours, the comments were filled with laughter. Another class humiliated for clicks. It was, after all, just a prank. But then someone recognized the hallway, the locker number. And within minutes, a link to a funeral home's obituary was pinned to the top. The obituary listed a single survivor, Kazuya Hara, son. The mood soured instantly. Laughing emojis turned to skulls. The cry-laughing faces became furious text.
Another 100 viewers just joined. This prank is driving my biggest numbers ever. Thanks for the subs, guys. You are too kind.
She didn't see the notifications piling up on her second screen, the ones that weren't from her chat. While Erika laughed, thousands of accounts were sending messages to her sponsors, demanding they cut ties immediately.
Best stream of the month. I should do more reaction content like this.
She ended the stream with a wave and a smile, completely unaware that her online empire was already crumbling behind the scenes. The moment the stream ended, Erika grabbed her phone, eager to check the post's engagement. Instead, an email subject line screamed at her, "Immediate termination of sponsorship." Her smile vanished.
Number. This can't be real. It's a glitch. A mistake.
She scrolled down, comments upon comments, all furious, her follower count dropping in real time. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. The phone slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. At that same moment, Kazuya Hara sat alone in his apartment. His phone buzzed with a message from a classmate. The message was short. "Dude, I am so sorry. You need to see this." And a link. He tapped the link. The video started to play himself, at his locker, shoulders shaking, tears on his face.
Someone filmed that, and the whole world is watching.
He placed the phone face down on his bed. The ceiling above him offered no answers. The next morning, Kazuya walked to school under a gray sky, the weight of the video pressing down on him.
Every person I pass, they know. My grief is their entertainment.
In the halls, students parted. Some stared with pity. Others held up their phones, filming him again. A girl stepped forward and whispered, "I am sorry about your mother." He nodded once without stopping. Across town, Erika's remaining sponsors were issuing statements. One by one, partnership logos cracked and vanished from her profiles.
It's all falling apart. everything I built because of one stupid post.
A news article appeared on every trending page. Popular streamer mocks orphan classmate, loses major deals.
They're calling me a monster. Maybe they're right?
She locked her bedroom door and sank to the floor, the ring light casting bars of shadow across her face. In just one day, the internet carved them into opposing symbols, the quiet victim and the heartless streamer. By the following afternoon, Kazuya's inbox was flooded with messages he never asked for. Exclusive sponsorship opportunity, authenticity campaign partnership, dozens of unread subject lines.
They want my pain as a product. I won't give them that.
He swiped the notifications away and set his phone to silent. Meanwhile, the internet had christened him with a new title, The Boy with Quiet Dignity. Hashtags trended. Fan pages appeared. His follower count soared into the millions, but he never once smiled at the screen. Across the city, Erika watched her own numbers plummet. 400,000 became 200,000, then 100,000, and still dropping.
I am losing everything. Well, he gets famous off my mistake.
She clenched her fists, the shadows of her empty streaming room swallowing her whole. One number rose into the stratosphere while the other cratered, and neither of them had asked for this. In the suffocating silence of her room, Erika dragged herself back to her streaming chair. The ring light flickered on, harsh and revealing.
I made a terrible mistake. I never meant to hurt anyone. Please, I am begging for forgiveness.
But the comments that flooded the video within minutes saw through the performance. One comment cut through. The ring light is still on. You are not sorry. You are not sorry. You are just saving face.
They can see right through me. Nothing I say will ever be enough.
Outside Kazuya's apartment, a small crowd had gathered. Cameras and phones pointed at his window. Kazuya peered through the blinds, a sea of expectant faces, hungry for his reaction. He drew the curtains shut, plunging the room into darkness. He sat on his bed, phone face down, the muffled shouts of the crowd seeping through the walls. The world demanded his voice, but all it got was silence. Erika returned to school with her head down, but the hallways offered no shield from the whispers that followed.
I used to be the one they watched for entertainment. Now they watch me for revenge.
A student raised a phone, filming her from across the room. Smile, Erika. This is your best content yet.
This is exactly what I did to him. Only now I am the one who can't escape the lens.
As she crumbled, Kazuya faced his own ordeal. A reporter with a microphone at the school gate. The reporter's question echoed. How does it feel to be the most talked about person in the country?
I just want to be left alone.
The clip of those 7 words went viral before lunch. A hashtag exploded. Number Quiet Dignity. Meanwhile, Erika scrolled through the same feeds, watching the world celebrate the boy she'd tried to humiliate. The roles had reversed so completely that even she couldn't deny it. She was the villain, and he was the hero. In a quiet home across the city, a woman watched the same news feed. Mrs. Sato, Erika's mother, held her phone with trembling fingers.
This is the child I raised. This cruelty didn't come from nowhere.
She had spent years documenting the truth in others. Now, her own daughter was a headline for all the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, Kazuya's phone continued to buzz. 12 agencies, all with the same hollow promises.
Fame built on pity. I'd rather have my mother back.
He deleted each one without reading. The last thing he needed was to be a mascot for someone else's brand. But then a letter arrived. Not an email, a handwritten envelope with a wax seal. Inside, the note read, "We don't want your pain. We want your voice, on your terms."
On my terms. No one's ever offered that before.
For the first time since the video, he didn't delete the message. He kept the letter on his desk. That night, Erika Sato climbed the stairs to Kazuya's apartment. Her hair was tangled, clothes wrinkled, but her eyes burned with a desperate need to make things right.
It's her. After all she did, she actually came. What does she hope to accomplish?
He cracked the door open. A sliver of light fell on her tear-streaked face as the cold air rushed in.
Kazuya, I know I don't deserve to be here, but I had to tell you. I am so sorry. For the video. For everything. I never knew about your mother. I was so stupid, chasing likes. Can you ever forgive me?
Kazuya stood motionless, his hand gripping the doorframe until his knuckles turned white. He gave no response.
Please leave.
The door shut with a soft click. Erika's legs gave out and she collapsed against the wall, sobs echoing down the empty hallway. Inside, he leaned against the door, eyes closed. No anger, just emptiness. Some wounds words can't heal. The rain outside mingled with her tears. In the darkness of his room, Erika's sobs still echoing, Kazuya sat motionless beside his desk. Across town, in a modest agency office, a phone sat quietly. Their handwritten letter had been a gamble. He reached for the letter, traced the neat script, then picked up his phone and dialed the number.
This is Kazuya Hara. I got your letter. I'm interested.
The voice on the line didn't gush. They explained their idea. A short film, written and directed by him, about attention versus recognition.
They mean it. Full creative control. No one's ever trusted me like that.
At his desk, he opened a notebook. Next to it, a photo of his mother. A painful, determined smile crossed his face.
Tomorrow then, I'll be there.
The agency hung up and exchanged glances. They believed in the boy, even without knowing the full storm he carried. He clicked his pen and wrote the first words of his film. The title was already forming in his mind. The next morning, Kazuya walked into the small agency's office. It smelled like coffee and old books, nothing like the corporate towers he'd imagined. They offered him a seat and a cup of tea. No cameras, no pitches, just a simple question. What do you want to say?
I want to show that being seen isn't the same as being recognized. The internet confused those two things.
One of the agents slid a contract across the polished wood. The terms were clear. Full creative control, no interference. Kazuya read every clause. Then he picked up the pen and wrote his name in deliberate strokes across the city. In a quiet documentary studio, Mrs. Sato stared at her phone. She had followed the online scandal with growing shame.
If I can't reach my own daughter, perhaps I can reach others. A film about the ethics of attention might make a difference. Yes, I am calling to inquire about your agency's documentary division. I have a project in mind about online ethics.
The agency's representative mentioned they had just signed a remarkable young filmmaker, but didn't share the name. Two strangers with a shared wound, set on a collision course by a simple phone call, and neither of them knew it yet. A classmate's message buzzed on Erika's phone. Did you see? Kazuya Hara just signed with an agency. He's going to make a film.
He's turning my downfall into his big break? I lost everything, and now he's going to be a director.
She hurled her ring light across the room. It smashed against the wall, plunging half the room into shadow. The crash echoed through the house. Mrs. Sato paused outside her daughter's door, her hand hovering just above the wood.
She's still full of blame. Nothing I say will help. Not yet.
Later that afternoon, Mrs. Sato arrived at the small agency's office. The air was calm, but her heart was not. The agent smiled. "We're excited about your documentary ethics pitch, Mrs. Sato. In fact, we have a filmmaker who would be perfect to collaborate with." The agent slid a profile across the table. Mrs. Sato picked it up, and her hands froze. The name read Kazuya Hara.
I know this boy. May I please meet with him?
The agent nodded, unaware of the history. A meeting was set, and the walls between their two worlds grew thinner by the second. In the weeks that followed, Kazuya buried himself in the script. He wrote in the early hours, when the world was still silent. The agency contacted him with news. A producer was interested in funding his vision. They set a meeting at a quiet coffee shop downtown.
I'll hear anyone out, but I am not selling out my story.
He walked into the cafe, scanning the tables. At the window sat a middle-aged woman with a gentle, weary face, and something familiar. She rose, bowing slightly. "My name is Sato. I've wanted to meet you for some time."
Sato, the same surname. It can't be. I know who your daughter is.
And I know what she did to you. There are no words to excuse it. But I've been ashamed of her content for years. I want to help you tell your story. Not for her sake, but because your voice matters. Please, let me produce your film. On your terms, all of them.
Kazuya's hand tightened around his coffee cup. The choice before him was impossible, yet it refused to be ignored. Kazuya pushed his chair back, the scrape sharp in the quiet cafe. Mrs. Sato's hand gently touched his arm. "Wait, please." She opened a tablet and played a short clip, an old documentary about forgiveness after tragedy, raw and unflinching.
I made this years ago. It's why I couldn't stomach what Erica was doing. I failed as her mother. But I still believe stories can heal.
This isn't an act. Her regret is real. Maybe she's different from her daughter. One condition. I have full creative control. You don't touch a single frame, not one word.
Understood. It's your story. I am only here to support it.
Kazuya extended his hand across the table. She took it without hesitation, her grip steady. The pact was sealed, not in trust, but in mutual need. Pain would have a voice, but the hardest test was yet to come. Not the film itself, but the storm it would unleash when the world learned the truth. A headline flashed across every screen. Controversial collaboration, grieving victims film to be produced by Bully's mother.
No, this can't be true. My own mother, working with him.
Her hands shook so violently, the phone clattered to the floor, the screen cracking across the headline.
She's selling me out to the one person she knows destroyed me.
She swept the remnants of her streaming gear off the desk. The ring light shattered into 1,000 pieces. Without changing, she stormed out of the house. Her mother's editing studio was only a 10-minute walk. Erica ran. She burst through the door, panting, eyes wild. Mrs. Sato looked up from her monitor, clipboard in hand.
How could you? My mother, producing the film of someone who hates me. Have you lost your mind?
Erica, I've been ashamed of your content for years. This boy is trying to build something real. Maybe you should learn from him.
Erika staggered back, as if struck. Her mother's calm, sad face was more devastating than any scream. On a quiet street corner, Kazuya raised his hand, directing the small crew with calm precision. The camera rolled, capturing an elderly woman's silent smile. Mrs. Sato stood beside him, adjusting a microphone, her presence steady and unobtrusive. She had become his shadow, silently ensuring every frame was possible. In the editing bay, they sat side by side, reviewing footage. The rough cut was nearly complete.
It's about the difference between being looked at and being seen. That's the whole film.
Above the timeline, the title card read, "Attention versus recognition." Miles away, Erika sat alone in her dark room, staring at her phone screen. Her fingers hovered over the delete account button.
This was my whole life. Now it's just a graveyard of bad decisions.
She pressed down. Account deactivated appeared in stark letters. The silence that followed was deafening. Back at his desk, Kazuya penned the final narration for his film. The words came from a place deeper than grief. The project that had begun as a personal stand was now almost complete, and the world would soon see it. The screening room was small, seats filled with a handful of friends, agency staff, and family. At the back, Mrs. Sato gently pushed Erika into a corner seat.
Why did she make me come? To watch him turn my shame into art.
The screen lit up. The title faded in. Attention versus recognition. A single piano note held in the silence. Faces appeared on screen. A lonely old man feeding birds. A child staring at a phone. A crowd walking past a beggar. The narrator's voice was Kazuya's own, soft and deliberate. He spoke of grief that had no camera, of tears that weren't for likes. He never mentioned her name, but every word landed on Erika like a verdict. Erika's hands trembled in her lap. A single tear traced down her cheek, then another. When the screen went dark and the credits rolled, written and directed by Kazuya Hara, the room remained still, too moved to clap.
That was me, the one chasing attention while he just hurt. And he's made something beautiful from it.
Mrs. Sato placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Erika didn't pull away. In the dark, Erika Sato began to learn the difference between being seen and being recognized. Within a week, the short film was uploaded publicly. The title alone caused a stir: attention versus recognition. It hit 3 million views in a single night. Comments flooded in, not with cruelty, but with words like masterpiece and necessary. Mrs. Sato stepped before a small cluster of microphones, her voice steady but heavy.
I supported this film because it represents everything my daughter failed to understand. I hope she can learn from it.
Her words became a headline. The internet began to see Kazuya not as a victim, but as a voice. As his star rose, the final brands with any tie to Erika Sato issued termination letters, severing the last threads. The cracked logo became a mimetic mark of her cancelled career, shared and reshared across every platform. Meanwhile, the film's hashtag trended, number quiet dignity. No longer about the boy who cried, but the creator who spoke. On his phone screen, the numbers climbed relentlessly, and somewhere in the dark, Kazuya allowed himself a faint, tired smile. He had turned his deepest wound into a mirror for millions. The world was finally listening. In her now dark streaming room, Erika watched the film alone on her laptop. The ring light was long gone, and the silence felt heavier than any hate comment.
I used to chase views. Now I'd give anything to take back that single post.
When the credits rolled, she didn't move. Then she reached for a pen and paper. She wrote until her hand cramped, the ink smeared with tears. The first words, "I am sorry." When she finished, she sealed the envelope and walked to her mother's study. She handed it over without a word. Mrs. Sato found Kazuya at the agency office the next morning. She placed the envelope in his hands without explanation. He opened it there, standing by the window. The light caught the tear stains on the paper. His eyes traced the shaky handwriting. A small, sad smile formed at the corner of his mouth. He folded the letter carefully and slipped it into his notebook, next to the photo of his mother. Then he pressed the closed notebook to his chest, eyes shut. A single tear escaped. Somewhere, Erika waited for nothing in return, and that was enough. Months later, the film was nominated for a prestigious short documentary award. Kazuya attended the ceremony in a simple tuxedo, Mrs. Sato beside him. When his name echoed through the hall, the audience hushed. He walked to the stage, no longer a victim, but a creator. He adjusted the microphone, the silence heavy with expectation.
Recognition isn't about views. It's about seeing someone for who they really are. I thank the person who gave me this chance, even though it came from a painful place.
He didn't say her name, but the meaning rippled through the crowd. A soft murmur of understanding. Then he lifted the small glass trophy. The room erupted in a standing ovation. Mrs. Sato, in the front row, pressed a hand to her heart. Her tears were not of guilt, but of quiet pride. Kazuya bowed once, the applause thundering. The quiet boy who had cried at his locker had become a voice that demanded to be heard. In the quiet season that followed, Kazuya made a pilgrimage he had put off for too long. He knelt before his mother's grave, tracing the carved letters of her name. The weight he had carried began to lift. He left the grave with a smile, not the hollow mask he once wore, but something earned. Across the city, in a modest editing suite, Erika Sato sat beside her mother, her fingers moving deftly across the keyboard.
Mom, I think this cut works. It feels honest.
Mrs. Sato placed a hand over her daughter's, a silent affirmation. The monitor displayed the closing credits. Assistant editor, Erika Sato.
I am finally building something that doesn't rely on destroying others.
As the sun dipped low, Kazuya walked a winding road. the horizon painted in gold and amber. He didn't look back. The future, uncertain and unwritten, stretched before him, not as a burden, but as a path. And somewhere, Eureka was editing her first honest frame. 2 lives no longer defined by a single cruelty, moving forward, separately, but no longer broken.